Hi, Dr. Claude. This is John Salvis, and this is my self-reflection on the self-help group that I attended. The name of the group was called A Common Problem, and it was held at Christ the King Church off Lamarck Drive, off Main Street. And it was a men's only Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and the leader of the group's name was Pete. So I guess I could start by saying, wow, I felt incredibly out of place when I walked into this meeting. Going into the meeting, what I later came to learn, there's this thing called a meeting before the meeting, and it's where all the people that are part of, that normally attend this particular group go and talk to each other and catch up, and they talk about each other's families, which I'll get into later. But they're very invested in each other's personal lives, and their how they're dealing with their sobriety, and try to support each other in so many ways. But anyway, so they meet before the meeting, and it's in the basement of the church, which is a little intimidating too. But you go into the room, and there's a large square table, and it's almost like the regulars have like their typical assigned seats. They all sit in the same spot, and I was clearly an outcast. Just because I arrived not late, just on time, and didn't make the meeting before the meeting, and so I sat down. And the meeting started off. The group leader, Pete, he passed around a basket, very much like they would in church, but he passed around a basket. And everyone that attends the group donates, a few cents or a couple dollars, and that's pretty much what funds the group, and any coffee or anything like that that they have on the side. So I didn't know how these groups were funded. I thought maybe the state or something like that put them on, but this particular group was funded just by the attendees' generosity and donations. So anyway, have, the value and the benefit that I got from this program is I now look at alcoholism. I look at it as a disease now. I don't look at it as somebody who made a string of poor decisions which led them to being an alcoholic. I really truly think it's a disposition. In hearing just the trials and tribulations these individuals go through on a daily basis with fighting their alcohol, the want to drink, but also the keeping the integrity that they have internally to maintain their sobriety. It was definitely touching to me, and it gave me a way different perspective of how big of a problem this actually is for certain individuals, and how lucky I am to not feel the need to drink all the time. These people literally, it's like, especially some of the individuals around the table that were not new to the group, but who had only been sober for a couple of weeks or months. They definitely fight the urge to drink 24/7, and I really got a picture of that. So anyway, once the basket was passed around, everyone in the group was given the floor. They went around the table and they introduced themselves, and they would start by saying their name, and they would say how long they've been sober, and then they would bring up any issues they've had within the past week, or however long it had been since their last meeting. This particular meeting is only held on Wednesday nights, and they would just discuss it. They'd put it all out on the floor, and a lot of people were very comfortable disclosing personal information about their past week, and what led them to have urges to drink, and how they personally fought it. Um, there was one particular individual who he was in his mid 40s, and he was 5 years sober, and he had recently relapsed and went on a 2-week drinking binge. And this was the first meeting he had attended after his binge. And he had 3 kids, he has a wife, and he got sober for his children. And he was dealing just with the emotional struggle of feeling like even though it didn't directly impact their lives with his recent relapse, just the fact that he feels like he's letting his wife and his family down when he goes and drinks, but then he has this inner compulsion that he just can't deal with sometimes. And he was just speaking with the grief he's going through internally, um, from his relapse. And that's what really made me think this is a disease, is just the fact that it's constantly on these individuals' minds. It's constantly there. And I just, my mind couldn't be further from thinking about the things that these people think about on a daily basis. So it really made me realize how much of a different mindset and disease process, if you will, alcoholism really is. About halfway through the meeting, we broke into smaller groups, and we went to different tables. And there was a table that had people that had been sober for a year or more, and then there was a table for people who had been sober for a year or less. And I went over to the table who of the individuals who had been sober for a year or more, and at that point I had already said who I was, and that was also another interesting part of the meeting. When it got to me, everyone was like looking at me, waiting for my explanation of who I am and why I'm there, whether I'm a new member or you know what the deal was. So when I had said that I'm a student and I'm here to observe, you know, I got a few sideways glances, but the group leader Pete actually interjected before I could even finish what I was saying, and he was like, "John, we want you to know, you know, you're very welcome here, and we actually do get a lot of student presence from all the various schools around. So you're welcome here, and you know, if you have any questions, please let me know. But everyone here is happy to have you, so you can see and appreciate what these things are about." And so I thought that was very nice of him to at least break the ice for me a little more than I was going to myself initially. Another thing I took away from this too is the camaraderie and just the silence that these people withhold about each other's identities and coming into the meeting. Everyone there trusts everyone else in the fact that they're not going to, you know, tell someone in the public or in the community that they're an Alcoholic Anonymous. I mean, hence the name. But they trust everyone so much, and everyone knows so much about everyone else's personal lives, that I thought that was great, and that's the value and the benefit that I really saw in this program, is the fact that these people have an outlet to go and explain and get to know people and find you know, alternate avenues of pleasure seeking, if you will, but just like going from like a good conversation to talking about how, you know, one guy mentioned how he's picked up running, and running has been a great, you know, alternative. Every time he gets the urge to drink, he'll go for a run, and it'll eliminate the stress of having to deal with thinking about drinking, but it'll also give him something else to do during that time period, and it makes him tired so he can go to sleep at night. So I thought that was a pretty well, a better way of addressing the problem, instead of just sitting there and thinking about it. Um, what else? One thing I really learned and really, you know, appreciate now is how much unity and camaraderie comes with sobriety. Like I just said, like these people are here for each other, and they are like their family away from their family. And you know, the people who have been sober for longer periods of time almost act as like coaches to the younger individuals, and it's not even younger individuals. Sometimes it was to the people who were newer to the program, and they talk about their early experiences and how, you know, they got past it, and, you know, different strategies that they could implement to help themselves get past, you know, the first couple months or the first year. The vibe I got from the meeting is that the first year is the most difficult of the process, but then again, everyone is always prone to a relapse at any given time. Um, my perspective, just on alcoholism in general, like I said before, I really do see it as a disease. I see that it is something that these people don't choose. They don't want. If anything, they despise it, but they can't control it. And it to me, again, like I said before, I really thought it was a slew of poor choices that, you know, drinking and drinking and drinking day in and day out, that, you know, eventually leads to a physical dependence. But some of these people, they said after their first drink, when they were talking about their stories, they said that they felt a desire to just keep drinking. The first time they ever drank, they got blackout drunk, and then the next time they drank, they got blackout drunk, and it was something that their bodies told them that they just wanted to do. They felt like, oh, I just want to get as drunk as I can. I want to feel as great as I can, and I never felt like that when I first started drinking, and I still don't feel like that when I drink. So I definitely think it is a disease state of sorts. And for my future physical therapy practices, I think that it's going to help. It's going to benefit me in many ways, but um, the the best of which is really just being able to empathize with people who might have, a drinking problem or any type of drug problem. I noticed in these meetings, these people like to talk. They like to say what's on their mind and get it off the chest because, like I said, it weighs on them all day. It's all they think about. They're proving to themselves that they can be sober. So I really think in my future PT practices, I might be able to identify just somebody who is stressed out, or somebody who looks like they need to get something off their chest. Like the man I mentioned prior, who had been 5 years sober and broke his sobriety, he had this look of grief on his face when he walked into the meeting. And once he left the meeting and he had talked with others and they had consoled him and told him it was fine, saying, some people were saying I had done the same thing, this is how I got past it, I'm better for it now. Just even the look in his facial expression, he went from like a look of grief to leaving smiling, shaking people's hands. And that it's that family aspect, it's that understanding, it's that being willing to listen, that I think changed his attitude throughout the meeting, but will also help me in future interaction with clients. Just because I think that if I can identify something like that, I will be able to discuss it with them, or I will discuss it with them, and I can see the almost immediate impacts that feeling like they have someone there for them, has in helping them get through a tough time. So that is pretty much the wrap up of my self help group meeting that I attended. And I really, really did gain insight from attending this. I thought that it was something that is truly necessary for the healthcare field, for us to at least to be aware of, or to know how these things function and how truly debilitating a disease like alcoholism can be, and how mentally handicapped these individuals can be by the disease. So it really gave me an understanding of that, and I appreciate it for that. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in class.